Hello, we are Group 23 and we are presenting our foundation course project on the topic of impact of globalization on small business. Next. Next. Since our topic is about a small business, let's go about what is a small business. A business which functions on a small scale level involves less capital investment, a less number of labor and fewer machines to operate is known as a small business. Small scale industries or small businesses are the type of industries that produces goods and services on a small scale level. Next. And let's introduce what is globalization. Globalization is the spread of products, technology, and information and jobs across national borders and cultures. In economic terms, it describes an interdependence of nations around the globe fostered through free trade. Globalization is a social, cultural, and political and legal phenomenon. Next. Now, Jaren will talk about the aims and objectives of our project.
Thank you, Swati. Let's have a look on the aims and objective of our project. In practical terms, globalization has enabled the day-to-day process of many small organizations. This is because most of the technology we consume has to be manufactured in regions where labor costs are low. The main purpose of our project is how globalization has put an impact on local businesses. Does it have an impact or negative impact? Does it push local business to grow? And how does it overcome the problem of labor cost? Next slide, please. It also aims to secure social economic integration and development of all people around the world. Also, let's have a look on the local commodities, its value, how does it overcome its problems, and how far does globalization has affected it. Over to you, Rishi.
Thank you, Jaren. Proceeding to our next topic, the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. Next slide. Advantages of globalization. Scope of market increases. Globalization promotes extension of market. It provides an opportunity to domestic companies in going global. For instance, domestically companies can witness saturation in demand for their products or services, but through globalization, the domestic companies can sustain and satisfy the growing demand of foreign customers. Next slide. Expansion of business. Third, globalization has resulted in greater interconnectedness among markets among the world. The increased communication and awareness of business opportunities in far corners of the globe. Next slide. Employing personnel all across the world. Business operations globally attract employees from all over the world. They are likely to draw management staff from the countries where they maintain a presence and employs laborers in a country where labor is relatively affordable. Next slide. Next slide, please. Disadvantages of globalization. Forced reduction in prices. Some people establish industries overseas where they get cheap raw materials and labor. They can cut production costs and sell their goods at low price. Due to this due to competition, some high quality products differ in prices. No matter how World Trade Organization has tried to control the price fluctuation, their efforts are not successful. Next slide. Impact of global market and trade war. A trade war happens when one country retaliates against another by raising import tariffs or placing another restrictions on the other country's imports. Trade war can commence in one country perceives that a competitor nation has unfair trading practices. Domestic trade unions or industrial logistics can pressure politicians to make import goods less attractive to consumers, pushing international policy towards a trade war. Next, next slide. Increased competition. Businesses that contain in a global marketplace will naturally face competition from companies all over the world. Consumers demand ever higher quality and cheaper products, and when they have a global array of companies to choose from, only those who evolve to supply what consumers want and need will prosper. So now Daniel Mosi will continue with our next topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rishi. So, till now, we have seen about globalization and its advantages and disadvantages. So, now we'll see how to overcome the impact of globalization over small business. First, increase the supply of products and services. When we keep a touch with the customers, the supply can be increased and if we improve our service, then the supply can be increased even more. For example, by providing doorstep delivery of products, always being available for the customers, etc., we can increase the supply of products and services. Second, increase the foreign clientele reach. A business can increase the foreign clientele reach by increasing its export services. It also be it also can be increased by providing quality products at fair and competitive pricing. Next slide. Third, strengthen domestic and local demand. As we all know that the ultimate aim of any business is to attain profit, then by creating a need for your product at the local and domestic level, a business can achieve its objectives. Fourth, sell a unique product or service. The real talk is that one will buy a product or service only if it pleases his or her eyes, and the innovative products and services can do well with the task of pleasing eyes. But to come up with new ideas and innovations, the research and development service, that is the R&D department, should put in some work. Once the business comes with unique products and services, then they can compete globally. Thank you. Handing over to Eunice.
Thank you, Venil. Now we'll see the questionnaire analysis of our topic. Topic. Uh, we made a survey on the impact of globalization on local companies, where we got a large amount of responses. Let us see the various questions asked in the questionnaire and what were the answers replied. Firstly, we asked the age, gender, and occupation of the respondents, where most of the respondents were 18 and above, some were below 18, and some were above 18. Uh, we asked their gender, so they replied most of them were male, and 30.6% were female, and 5.6% of the respondent does not prefer to say their gender. Occupation. Most of the respondents were students. 25% were employees, and the rest were entrepreneurs. So the first question we asked was, "Are you aware of what a local business is?" Where 91.7% of the respondents replied yes, and 8.3% replied no. Here we can see that the majority of the respondents were aware of what a local business is. The next question we asked was what is the main reason that small businesses fail? Where 69.4% of the respondents agreed with the statement of that it does not have the same access to global market, whereas 8.3% were agreeing with this disproportionate growth, and 22.2% were saying that there are some other reason behind the failure of small businesses. The next question we asked that if considering to buy or purchase a product or service, which service will you go for? Where 47.2% of the respondents replied as any of them, and 36.1 goes with a global company, whereas 11.1% said will choose to buy it from a local market, whereas 55.6% were replied none of them. The next question we asked that do you think that globalization helped local economies and local businesses in their growth and development? Whereas 40 where 47.2% of the respondents replied yes, and 41.7% said maybe, and 11.1% said no. The next question we asked government is making an effort to promote small businesses, where 42.9% were agreeing with the statement, whereas 11.4% were strongly agreeing. 17.1% said that they are disagreeing with the statement, whereas 28.6% were neutral about the statement. The next question was, does globalization made an impact on the prices and quality of the product? Here, majority of the respondents said yes, whereas some agreed with the statement, some said maybe, and some were neutral. Also, there were some who said no, it doesn't. Next, we'll continue with Jerin.
Thank you, Unis. So here, next slide. So here are the methodology of our project. There are three types of data used for our project. The first one is primary data. The second one is secondary data, and the third one is tertiary data. Primary data was collected by conducting online surveys. Secondary data were collected by using various publications, articles, and research papers listed in the bibliography. And the tertiary data, that is the analytical approach to the above said data. Next, over to you, Nis.
Here we can see that what were the various advantages and disadvantages of globalization, and also how to overcome the problem of local companies' failures. Thank you.